Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Ready to hop into this very exciting episode of the Battlefield Show. We're talking all things Season 4, 11th hour. So let's jump right in. I think if you could sum up the history of the Battlefield Show into one area of Battlefield 2042, you could just call us the Battlefield 2042 map show, and it would probably check out.
100%. We are both on the same page with how important maps are to us. So, I definitely agree with that.
If you calculated all the times that we've talked about maps versus anything else in this game, I would probably say maybe like 75% of our discussions are around the maps.
Legitimately, yeah.
I mean, it's honestly the thing that you probably interact with the most out of anything in the game.
Yeah, I think that's why for me it's so important, because weapons and modes and specialists or classes, whatever, you can, even between games, you can switch between them, and you might only, you're only using one gun, or I guess two with your secondary, whereas the map is constant. It's always there. You're on the map at all times. You can't play Battlefield without the map. You can play without, if there's 50 weapons, you can play without 49 of them. So I think that's why it's so important, because it is the most used piece of content in the game. And with all the weapons, for example, if one weapon sucks, it doesn't really matter. Just use a different weapon. Whereas with only, 11 maps in the game, if one map sucks, then there's only 10 left. And if 10 maps suck, there's only one good one. So
yeah,
it's a very, very important aspect. And I think that's why, for me, it's like so constantly talked about, because I've said it before. I actually just said it in the update review for this season, that I don't care how good any game is. You could make the best shooter that's ever been made. If the maps suck, the game sucks. It's just as simple as that. Whereas you can make a pretty mid-tier game, and if the maps are really good, the game is still going to be pretty fun. So, I think it's easily the single most crucial element to any shooter. And
I subscribe to this entirely. Yeah. I think this is such an excellent point to bring up, especially I think around Battlefield 2042. I think a lot of the discussions, usually at least what we've had, and a lot of the game as a whole revolves around is the introduction around the maps. I mean, that's the thing that we all talk about every time that there is a new update. It's like, okay, what's the map going to be like? What is it going to look like? How is it going to change? Is it better than this map? Is it better than this map? Is it worse than this map? Like, it's all around that identity. And I think so much of what we play and interact with is the map. I mean, like you said, you can have two weapons equipped, but you're only using one of them at any given time. In terms of the specialist, you are only using one of them, and usually there are more. I think at this point there might be more specialists than maps still.
Yeah, I think there is.
It's definitely the case that there are more weapons than maps. So in terms of like the impact that a single weapon is going to have on the whole game itself, isn't going to be as big as the one map. Like, that is going to be the big juicy thing about any season.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, it's I can see where you were leading this conversation, because I'm going to assume we haven't spoken about this off recording, so I don't know your thoughts on it, but I'm going to assume you very much like the map, just judging by the way that you've brought it up so far.
Yes. I still stand by what we kind of talked about last time, about how visually the map is not quite as exciting as I may have wanted it to be. Yeah. But my assumption that it's going to play well is definitely there. And I think Yepper in the Discord had a really good thing. Is like, he's like, every other game that I play, I both hate and love it. It's like, this game, I love it. This game, I hate it. This game, I love it. This game I hated. And I think that really showcases the diversity of it, and it's really showcases the different play styles it really plays around with. But I think our predictions that it's going to play well, I think they're keeping up the streak so far.
Yeah, it's like you just said. I think what they have nailed about this map is the variety of playstyles. It's not a long range map. It's not just a close range map either, even though it looks.
Yeah.
And they gassed it up as if it was a close quarters map. You can still snipe. You can still use an assault rifle, and it doesn't really.
Honestly, I've probably been killed by more snipers than I have anything else in this map, which is surprising.
I've actually noticed too that I've been doing better with an assault rifle. I'm actually not doing as well when I'm trying to rush around too much. So even though I'm an aggressive player and I like that close quarters play style, the mid range is where I'm actually doing best. So it just has that good mix of I think you can literally use any weapon in the game on this map and you can do well with it.
Yeah, I started off with a shotgun, went to assault, and then played with a sniper. And I did reasonably well with each of them. But like you said, I think it definitely rewards the slower play style. You can totally be extremely aggressive, and I'd say the majority of people are extremely aggressive. But if you want to succeed, you may want to keep things a little bit slower paced to really get the benefits of things.
Yeah, 100%. And I also even think down to the vehicle play style, that vehicles don't seem dominant on it, but they can still do well. And it's just that it just feels very balanced in terms of everyone can play how they want and none of them are going to dominate. And
there's really no right or wrong way to play on this map, which is so fascinating.
Yeah, because on obviously a lot of the other maps, it's it's so hard to, I don't know, on exposure, unless you're going to go down to that bunker area. If you're up the top and using an SMG, you're just going to die. You can't do that. This map doesn't really have that issue because everywhere, I don't know how they've really done it, but everywhere, even in the close quarters situations, you can use an assault rifle, and if you just stick to a certain lane or a certain section of the underground area, you can still have those mid-range engagements. So they've just nailed that aspect, and I think for me that's what makes a good map. If I can if I'm using an SMG and I'm just not having a good game, but it's an SMG map, then I just know that round is done. I just need to wait till the next game.
Yeah.
When I'm not doing well in an SMG on this map, I just go, all right, I'm just going to pull out an assault rifle, and I know that I can go from a negative KD to a positive KD. So yeah, I really like that about this map.
And I am also a very aggressive player. Usually I'm the person that I'll just run in and die, respawn.
Yeah, me too.
Run and die, respawn, run and die, respawn. That's how I play most games.
Yeah.
Except as we've talked about, for some reason I don't play like that in Call of Duty, and I don't understand why my brain is like that. But in Battlefield, it's exactly that. I run in, I'll maybe get a kill, definitely get a capture, definitely get some respawns, and then I'll die, and then I'll just go again. And this map rewards that play style. This map rewards the mid-range. This map rewards somehow also the long range.
Yeah.
Which I think they've done a really good job of making every single play style work, especially on a map that they touted as, oh, this is going to be close quarters combat.
Yeah, I did not expect. Actually, I'd played a few games and I'd been using SMGs and assault rifles, and I was I wonder, there's a few little hilly areas. I wonder if I can snipe on this map. And I just didn't think I'd be able to, but I thought it was the last game of the night. It was 3 a.m. I'd played for so long when the update dropped, and I was just all right, I'm just going to just snipe and just see how that goes. And I did really well, and I was shocked because it doesn't look even like a... I mean, there's some areas that, like I said, it's a kind of hillsides, and you look like you can snipe in those areas, but I still wasn't sure that would be viable. And after using SMGs and doing well, and then assault rifles and doing well, and then using a sniper and doing well, then I was okay, this map is just really, really balanced in terms of play styles. And like I said, I think that's probably the number one. If you can nail that, it doesn't really matter about the look of the map or the layout. If it's viable for everyone, I think that's the key element to making a good map, really.
Yeah, if it plays well, it's a good map. I think, and like you said earlier, if a map if a game just in generally has maybe it has less than favorable mechanics, it doesn't quite feel that natural to play. But if it's got good maps, you're gonna put up with a lot of crap. I mean, look at freaking PUBG. PUBG is a garbage game mechanics wise, but the map and like all of it goes so well together. And for so long, Battlefield 2042 just was like, it was the opposite of that. I think it had really solid mechanics. Obviously, there's things that they've adjusted over time, but I think ultimately it had really good mechanics that they've fine-tuned, but they didn't have the good maps. And I think every single season that they've released so far has made a really good map and made the gameplay fit so well.
Yeah, exactly. And that PUBG is just like the prime example of what I was saying earlier. Like, you picked the best example you could have. Because I'll be honest, and I really like PUBG. PUBG is terrible. It is not a good game. Like, it's literally like a 2004 shooter.
And all of the best of, like, and the terrible PUBG ways.
Yeah, exactly. And just the design of the map as well. Well, there's multiple maps now, but design of each map, and then obviously just the fact that it's a battle royale, it's got a bit more like excitement to it. Those alone make that game, even though I just said it's bad, it's a good game still because of literally just the map design. You look at other games like I want to say it's Enlisted. Is that the game? There's like that World War II.
Yeah, that's game. Like the really authentic World War
it's
shooter,
like
right?
Very realistic and like very clunky looking. I've never actually played it, but I've watched a lot of gameplay on it because there was a lot of hype around it and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of the same as PUBG. It's not a well-designed like shooter in terms of the mechanics, and the movement looks clunky and the animations look a bit weird. But all of the maps looked really well designed, and I've never really heard anyone say a bad thing about that game. Even though it's not all new and shiny, people just go, "Oh, this game's so much fun." Yeah. Whereas if it's Battlefield, even though Battlefield is kind of new and shiny, because the maps suck, everyone's like, "Wow, this game's terrible." So that's just like the prime example of how important the maps are. And like I said, I think we're increasing we said it was about 75% that we talk about maps. I feel like we could up that on this episode because I could go on forever, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Overall, what are your like thoughts? Obviously, we like and enjoy it, but like, what are some favorite moments that you have of the map so far?
I think one thing that I can't really put a finger on, this is a weird thing to say, but it feels nostalgic. It feels like an old school Battlefield map. It just feels like it would fit in Battlefield 3 or 4. And yeah, it just feels like a Battlefield map. Most of the other, even like Spearhead and all the seasonal maps that we've got, they're really good, but they don't necessarily feel like a Battlefield map still. This game still feels very different than, all the other Battlefield games. But this map, when I'm playing on it, it just kind of feels like I'm playing Battlefield 4. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's probably my favorite part about it. And I think just also like the fact that a lot more of the buildings are destructible and it's all just like close together. I think there's just a lot of things to like about it, that you can go from flag to flag without having to run 40 kilometers. And yeah, it's laid out really, really well. I think it's a really well-designed map that I can't even explain why it's well-designed, to be honest. It just is good. That's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, like it's super fun. Like I can totally see. I think a lot of it's due to that color scheme. Like it is very much Battlefield 4 in terms, or Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, whatever, in terms of its like color schemes. It's a lot closer to that. Also, just a fun thing, real quick. We're both playing the game as we're talking about it, so we can get even more gameplay time and just get some more like. It's so fun. Like like. I don't normally play the game while we record the podcast, but like this season so far is like, I need as much time with this as I possibly can.
This is episode 79. I've never once played while we're recording, just because like I don't want to be distracted and I don't want like controller sounds in the background. So I'm always, when we record, I'm like fully just sitting there looking at my monitor talking. But
Same here.
now I'm literally playing Battlefield as we speak. Like that, I think that just says a lot about where the game's at, that I want to be playing, and I want to level up my guns, and I want to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. I need to get, especially now that I've got like a goal for Battlefield 2042 of like getting as many of the weapons unlocked as I can. But just while we were talking, I got a double headshot with a sniper,
Oof,
and
clean.
that was just good. But
Very
like
satisfying when that happens.
so fun. Like it really. We're both playing solo, so we can get some extra XP and stuff and upgrade our weapons. But like super fun. I think they did a really good job. It doesn't necessarily have like a huge highlight section of the map.
Yeah, exactly.
It has multiple moments. I honestly haven't spent a whole lot of time inside of the cylinder underground area as I thought I would be.
Yeah, me either. It looked like it was the center of the map, but it's D2, and I think it's kind of like off to the side a bit. It's still a fun area, but it's not like
E1 and E2 is where I'm spending most of my time, honestly, which is really strange when I figured they would want that like underground section to be the big highlight that they usually have for all of the maps.
Yeah,
so maybe this is a shift in
different layout than I thought.
Yeah. Also, I believe. If I remember correctly, this map was designed by Ripple Effect as a portal mode or portal map.
Yeah, I did hear something about that. It was like a team deathmatch area or something. Yeah.
So this map originally started as an expansion to Portal as a play space, and they just built upon it for this season, which I find very fascinating because it proves that they were looking at more content for Portal.
Yeah, it's a very I was kind of shocked when I heard that, especially because like I'm confused that if Portal's meant to be just old content, why were they developing a new area? Like, was this originally meant to be? You know how like they've said for season 5 that map is going to be kind of taking it's like not a remaster of an old map. Yeah, like it's just using something from a previous game, not necessarily the map, but just like a location. I wonder if this was the same deal, like if this actually started as a Battlefield 4 map or a Battlefield 3 map, I should say, and then they just changed it. So I'm trying, now that I know that, I've been trying to look around the map and be like, I wonder if there's any assets that we know, like a building that we know from, like, because that's so weird to me that they would be. I don't think that they would make new content for Portal, would they? As in, like, a whole new map. Like
that's what I was wondering. Because, like, that is such a good point. Like, it's all about reliving the Battlefield, like, famous Battlefield moments.
Yeah.
Maybe this was a test for them internally to use. They were like, oh man, this is a fun thing. And DICE was like, hey, can we have that?
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Maybe, like you said, this was just like a test, like a grey box type of map where they were just testing like the weapons in Portal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they do internal playtests to balance weapons and stuff? Maybe they had just made a fun little team deathmatch map
I could totally see that being
like
the case.
Yeah, because it's either that or it had to have started as a Battlefield 3 map, or even maybe it could even be like not so much the buildings, I guess, but it could have been a 1942 map in terms of the outside area, like an Africa map or something, because I haven't played 1942, so I don't know what maps were in that game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That just got me thinking, because I was like, they just definitely wouldn't have been making an entire new map for Portal. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Switching gears a little bit, how have you been finding the new specialists? Obviously, we've had this discussion before. Usually, like, except for Zane, I didn't really adjust any of my specialist play because of any season, really. But how have you been finding her on this season so far?
I'm pleasantly surprised. I remember last episode we both said, like, I don't think I'm going to really use her. And I still don't think she will make it into my, like, proper rotation. Zane's the only one that has, like, I've been using Zane a lot on this map, but she's definitely more enjoyable than I thought. I think mostly because I haven't really played Recon. I don't really like the other Recon specialists that much. Like, I don't know, on certain maps I could use Pake, but she's been nerfed so much that I don't really, like, I'm not that interested anymore. So I can't tell if it's Blasco or if it's just actually fun to play as Recon and have, like, You've got
like
the
just shifting
tugs,
your
which
play
is
style.
like having the little portable radar, and then having her scrambler thing, and then having a spawn beacon. That's actually been a fun way to play. So it's hard to tell if that's her or just recon in general. But yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised because, like, on the last episode, I pretty much said she sounds interesting, but I think she'll be boring. That's pretty much what I said.
And I still don't think her ability is, or her tactical gear or whatever, is useful in Battlefield 2042. Like, I've been affected by it many times now, and it doesn't change how I play the game at all. Like, I'm not concerned at all anytime I get affected by it.
Yeah. I still don't even fully know what it does to me when I'm near an enemy one. Like, that's how kind of pointless it feels.
For those who may not know, her ability scrambles everything, so you can't see your map. I mean, that's basically it. Like, your ability to see enemies on your map, and your map entirely just gets adjusted and glitched out, and that's it. Like, as far as I'm aware, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think for vehicles, so it has it stops like lock-ons and stuff.
Yeah,
but in terms of just like actual infantry players, it doesn't really affect you that much. So I've seen so many enemy ones around. I always shoot them just to get rid of them because I may as well. But like when I'm near one, I'm kind of just like, what is this? Like, I don't even feel any worse off than I did before it was there. So it's kind of a weird one. That's kind of what I was saying last week. It sounds cool on paper, but in game it doesn't. I'm not sure it has that much of an effect. And so, like I said, I think that I'm having fun with her more based off of the recon class and just changing the play style. And it does get a lot of XP. Like, I think that's the part that is just fun. When something just keeps popping up, it's like when the game launched and the proc sensors were being spammed, and it's just like fun to just get heaps of XP and just have heaps of pop-ups on your screen saying like, hey, you're helping. Like, so I think her scanner or her radar jammer thing, I think that is more also just fun to use because it's getting you heaps of XP than actually helping, if that makes sense. It's just like a proc sensor where you throw down a proc sensor, it doesn't really help that much, but you're getting so much XP and stuff that it's like, oh, that was fun. I'm going to keep doing that over and over.
And that's it too. Like, it also it creates a dead zone, is what they describe it in their patch notes as, and it will also spot and reveal enemy devices within the immediate dead zone range. So you can, they say, allowing you to quickly clean out any enemy interference around your objective. And then her trait is the ambush expert, is able to move swiftly past motion-based gadgets such as claymores, TUGCs, and proximeters, and large equipment like Boris's SG-36 sentry gun.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do really like about her, though, actually, is that I'm not getting targeted by freaking Boris's turret all the time. That's like
that is good.
The one thing that I'm really... That's just nice. It's not worth picking her for that, but it's like when I do pick her, it's like, sigh of relief. I don't have to get mowed down by a turret every time.
Yeah. I'd still stand by my opinion that it doesn't actually change anything on either side. Like, maybe it's nice to have, but it's honestly not something that I'm like, oh man, I have to have this.
Yeah. It's kind of the same as like a lot of this. That's like why the specialist system didn't work for me. I think we've said this before, that it's like why Falk is really good, because her gadget directly helps. Like, you revive people, you heal people. Like, it's a big help. Whereas pretty much all the other specialists, they're all kind of like, when you pick them, it's like, yeah, I guess it's like better than having nothing, but it's not. I'm not going to pick the specialists for this item that they have, because most of them are just not that good, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they weren't special enough. And because if they were too specialized, honestly, like, I think most fans would really have an issue with that. But I still think it could have been better utilized to really get specialized.
Yeah.
But like, I think at this point, now that we've got classes and all that fun stuff, it doesn't really matter that they aren't specialized or anything like that. It just makes it very interesting that this character seems so niche
Yeah.
And yet Battlefield 2042 does not offer that playstyle at all.
Yeah. It's a weird, like, this is one of the rare occasions where she is actually, like, she is a specialist of a playstyle that no one wants. Like, you know how we've always said that they're not really specialists because they don't really, it's barely a difference between a lot of them. She really is a specialist in just the most boring, pointless ways.
Yeah.
They can't seem to get that balance right of making a specialist who is actually a specialist, not just a jack of all trades,
And
like
also
like a
useful.
Sundance or a McKay, for example. Yeah, and then having that, but also be useful. I think the only ones for me the only one in the whole game for me is Falk that is actually a specialist at what she does and is worth using. Like,
Yes.
she is the health expert. That's her role, and she is definitely the specialist in the game of healing and reviving.
Yeah, because like she's committed to healing, like with helping other people, as well as the ability that you can use on yourself to regen stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's super helpful on both you as a player and you as a teammate.
Yeah, and so that's like, it's a lot easier said than done, but obviously if every specialist could be as important to the team and as like balanced as Falk, then I think the specialist system would have really worked. But it's just like, there's only so many things you can do. There's only so many different things they can specialize in. You've got like, and this is why it was originally just 4 classes, because you only need 4 things really. You've got your healers, your like anti-tank class, your assault class, and your recon class. And really in the game there is just kind of one specialist from each of them that does those things, and then the rest of them are just like, here's an extra medic class that you just won't use, like Angel. It's like, this is
Do you want to be a medic
2.0.
but worse?
Yeah. It's like, they are just medic from Wish. Like, that is literally what it is. But Falk is the actual medic. So yeah, that's the whole thing with the specialist system, that the class system was always going to be better because there's only really 4 things, maybe 5. There's been 5 in previous games. I guess you could extend it to 5 classes, but there's only so many things you can specialize in. And so they've just spread those out between 11 people now, or however many specialists there are. And now it's just like, they're too special and not even useful at the same time.
Yeah. They're too special and also not.
Yeah.
That I think that's a great way to just really sum up the failures of the specialist system and why the class system was ultimately the better choice. But again, as we've talked about before, it's good that they are experimenting with things. I wish they would experiment with other things, honestly.
Yeah.
But good on them for giving it a shot and then ultimately reverting it back to what we know as like the class system now.
Yeah.
But in terms of like gameplay, overall season thoughts, what do you think?
I think it's the best season again, just like all the other ones have been. They've just gotten better every time. It's obviously early days. I need to properly play for like a week, but I said the same thing about every other season that like day one, I was like, wow, this is better than last season. And then maybe I was jumping the gun, but it turned out to be true every time. So I just think I'm just confident enough to, again, to say, I just think this is already the best season. We've got more weapons than we got last time. The map's probably, I would say, for me, it's probably the best map in the game, or it's on Spearhead's level. It's in that top bracket.
I would say it's tied with Spearhead for me, honestly. We'll see in terms, like, I still could play Spearhead 24/7. We'll see how that feels after a week of this season, but I think so far it's pretty nice. Yeah,
and so, really my only thoughts on the season is it's just the same as every other season, which sounds like a negative, but that's actually a positive. Like, it's every season's just getting better every time.
And we were talking about this before we started recording too. The Battle Pass is a lot better.
Yeah, that's one thing. The Battle Pass every season has gotten, like, all the maps get a little bit better, but the Battle Pass I feel gets actually like a lot better every time. Yeah, it's probably where the improvement seems to be the most. Season 1's Battle Pass was just like, acceptable because it was their first one, and it was like, yeah, this checks the boxes of a battle pass. It's got 100 things.
That is definitely a battle pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and so from there to be where we're at now, where I'm actually looking through the battle pass all the time, going like, oh, like what's the next cool thing I can unlock? That's a good sign, because that in the first season I wanted to get to tier 100, but not because of any specific thing. It was just like, I may
it's
as
more
well
of
just
like,
get
I
to
got
100.
it, guys.
Yeah. Whereas now there's like a bunch, even like at level 30, there's just like cool skins that I'm like, oh, I really want to get to 30 to get that. And that's really, I think last season had a few like that as well. I think last season's battle pass was good.
Yeah.
But I do think this is another step up on that. So
What
it's
do you
kind
think
of just
the
like that
mid-season
across the
update's
board.
going to be?
I don't know. I was thinking that actually this morning that like, I'm assuming they're going to do another event, like, you know, the new game modes and stuff. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, I guess they're pretty hard to predict, aren't they? Like, we've never really known what the other ones were going to be. So
because that's another thing that's gotten better every time they've tried to do it.
Yeah, true.
I still think they can do better, but like,
yeah, definitely.
Battle Pass, mid-season updates, the maps, each one has gotten better than the last. Which good on you guys, DICE. Good job. And if you've listened to the Battlefield show, you know that actually means good job. We aren't just like, oh man, everything DICE does is amazing.
Yeah.
No, like I think they've done a really good job, and it feels pretty cohesive with the Battlefield 2042 story and brand. Like honestly, this feels like it fits the world of 2042.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the first few maps. I think Exposure especially didn't feel like it had much of a story. It was just like, there's been a landslide, and it was like, okay. Like, is that it? Like, why are we here? Why are we invading a landslide? What's the point? Like, there's no point.
I will say it had more of a story than Stranded. I love Stranded, but Stranded didn't have a story at all.
Stranded was the same thing. It was just like, there's a boat and it's got some guns on it. Let's attack it. So the first two were they were good, really good maps, but they didn't feel like there was a point to them. Spearhead felt like there was a point where we're invading. We need these like advanced weapons. This is where they have been made.
Yes,
we have to attack. We have to go and stop them from making more, as well as we need to like get them for ourselves.
And the mid-season update too. Honestly, like that felt so. The whole season felt so cohesive.
Yeah, 100%. And so this one kind of feels it's obviously too early to tell because we don't know what the event's going to be, but it feels like it's going to go down that same path where it actually just feels, you know, tied to the story, and it doesn't feel pointless, and which doesn't matter because the map's good, even if it feels pointless at the end of the season. It's not the end of the world. It's more just like they're the little things that I do think add up when everything. It takes something from an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 when there's like just a little bit of extra quality that you go, oh wow,
it'll
that
keep you
connects
playing
with the rest of the game. Yeah, it just makes the game feel higher quality, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm having such a blast playing the map. The community seems really pumped around it too. They have shown that while they may not have great vision in terms of where they're setting the maps, they definitely have a strong grasp on the map design now, as well as just general, what is a Battlefield 2042 map now? Like, what does that look like? How does that play? What does it feel like? And just generally that full experience, like I have a lot more trust in them that whatever map that they come out with in Season 5 is going to be fun. Yeah. And it honestly looks pretty cool too. Like
I was going to say that we last episode kind of ragged on how this map looks, and I still kind of stand by that. It doesn't matter to me, but it's pretty boring. I will say that it's just dirt and cement. Like it's not that exciting. Next season's map looks so unique to me. I was so happy to see that because we had just talked about that on the last episode. That it looks really unique. It looks different color palette than every single map in the game so far. It's got that like building with the tree coming out of it and like the graffiti on the wall and stuff. It looks like a really cool design that if they can make it play well, I'm really excited for that map because it just looks it's like what we were saying last week where some of the maps are a little bit boring, even though they play well, so it doesn't really matter. But when you have one that plays really well and looks beautiful,
Yeah.
that is even better.
Also, it's so funny that like we were ragging on the lack of like a forest that's snowy, and the most recent concept art that came out for the new map is a snowy forest.
They are listening to us, I swear.
Yeah,
I swear.
I think they're mad at us though, because they screwed us over the last couple of times.
Yeah, they've changed their
schedule.
days. Yeah, they've definitely. We must have said something wrong.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, well we've got a map plan that's gonna be snowy forest,
Yeah,
and also
we're going to announce it the day after you record this time.
Yeah,
Screw you guys.
Get wrecked, guys. But for the podcast, Torbus said this in terms of like, I thought for a second it was going to be more of like Hammerhead. It definitely has more of the Hammerhead vibe, but he had a really good point that it looks a lot like the Zavod 311, or more of like an interpretation of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I thought, is this actually Zavod that's like, it's been blown up and it's like kind of overgrown and stuff, because the buildings were a bit taken, you know, like the one with the tree coming out of it was like obviously broken down.
Yeah.
Is this, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is this just Zavod that's been overgrown and overtaken? It kind of looks like I don't know, it does actually look like an apocalyptic map. Like it looks like something you'd see in like in The Last of Us or something, where it's like just this overgrown little village or something. So I'm so keen for it, man. Like, it's funny we're saying that because I've literally just got this map 2 days ago, and it sounds like I'm already moving on to the next one. But just because of how good they've all been, and just that one looks so unique, like I'm just so keen. That's like absolutely the number one piece of content that I'm excited for, is to get that map, because I just have no doubt now that it will play well. Like, they've just shown they know again how to make good maps.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it looks awesome too, like I'm just even more excited for it.
Dude, I'm so pumped. And like this map, the new map, so fun. Like having such an absolute blast with it. It is definitely the kind of map that I wanted more of, that I wanted to see a deeper exploration of. I think in terms of gameplay style, I think they still have some things that they could do better in terms of layout and just creative direction, art direction, all that stuff. But I think overall, though, like fun, having a ton of fun with it. This definitely seems like a great start, and overall, like having a blast with it. I don't think I'll get tired of it anytime soon.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think also a big part of that is that, like we were saying, how it offers a lot of play styles. I think it will take longer to get bored of it, because I can just go, okay, I've been playing aggressively on this map and I'm kind of sick of these same 3 buildings. Let me go use a sniper and like change up my play style. So
yes,
that's kind of what I was getting at, where that's an important part of a map, because it almost gives each map a few different maps within it, if that makes sense. Like, you've got your outer areas, you've got your chaotic areas, and then one game you can just stay inside, and the next game you can play on a hillside, and you've just played the same map back to back, but it looks completely different each time. So I think that's a really important aspect too, that should, delay the, us getting bored of it, which I don't think was going to happen anyway, but it's going to delay it even more.
I think that's a really good point. Of you can have multiple different playstyles, multiple maps, depending on how you play on it. Like, that is such a good thing to just continue the longevity of your enjoyment of it. Like, that is such 100%. A great point of, you could just have like mini challenges with yourself. Like, I'm only going to use a sniper. I'm only going to use mid range. I'm only going to use close range, and see how the map changes for you depending on that. And I think it will. Like, I think it's going to adjust and change how you look at the maps and how you look at the game and look at the season as a whole. Yeah,
exactly. Because a lot of other maps, they haven't had that affordability where, like, say, I don't know, Orbital, for example, I feel like you just have to use an assault rifle. You just can't really. There's not that many other playstyles unless you just want to stick to like the tall building and just be on top of that with an SMG. But that's just one building. So if you want to play the map, you just kind of have to use certain weapons or certain playstyles.
Yeah.
And this one just doesn't feel like that at all. Feels like you can literally run around. You could, in the same match, run around with a shotgun or a sniper and do equally as well with both, which is a pretty rare thing. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for that, because not just Battlefield, but just any shooter, it's pretty hard to pull that off. Like, that's not an easy thing to do.
Who would have thought that a close quarters map would also have good sniper play, or good close quarters play, or good mid-range play? Like, honestly, that is such a fun change for the game. And it makes you a lot more cognizant of like what those changes are, what the map is, the different benefits of each thing. Like, it's fun. Like, it is super fun to have those differences in a single season, in a single map. Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. It's like it's such a crucial thing to get right, and I think they've managed to do it, which they definitely deserve credit for that.
Mm-hmm. Good job, DICE. Good job. And in terms of like next episode, I definitely want to get into some like tips and tricks on the map, as well as we've had some interesting news come out with the DICE Ripple Effect Ridgeline Games side of things, like what's going to be happening for the next game, specifically with the addition of a co-developer on the single-player content, which DICE is expanding their single-player team to join Ridgeline as a co-developer.
Yeah, that is definitely very interesting. That seems like they're putting a lot of weight into that, which is both good and nerve-wracking, just because if it doesn't pay off and it's like they've put so much effort into that, then how will that affect multiplayer? So it's like it can have negatives, but I think it's a good thing that they've decided to reinforce that. But yeah, like you said, that's a whole episode right there to talk about, so we'll save that for next week.
I wonder too if it has something to do with just the speed at which they were hiring for Ridgeline, that they just, as a new developer, you wouldn't have the ability to attract maybe the developers that you want. But DICE is such a much bigger, more well-established developer. They probably can attract those developers more, because they specifically said in the announcement that this is to get more jobs hired for their single player team, which they basically got rid of for this game. They said, we're not doing that. We have a story group now, and our single player team for Battlefield 2042 just isn't a thing.
Yeah, so it's definitely, that is a good point, that maybe they're doing it to speed up the process of being able to hire, as well as like I'm sure that there will just be people who are just already at DICE that they just get moved around to that new role. Like, they might have worked on multiplayer and now they're a single player developer. So that should definitely speed up the process, which is a good thing. The more time they can spend on the game, the better. So get hiring DICE, please.
Exactly. But we'll talk about a lot more of that in depth and in detail next episode. For now, let us know your thoughts on the new season, as well as some tips and tricks. If you found some really good combinations for the new map, what are your thoughts on the new specialists, the map as a whole, and what's your favorite new weapon so far? We'd love to hear all of that. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or contact at uplinkpodcast.com if you'd like to send us an email with that information as well. As always, hey, check out Sammy Boy's YouTube channel, his review of the season, as well as the other content that he's working on there. And we'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail. All of you for listening. We'll see you on the battlefield.